Hey everyone, Duncan here. So I'm calling this a members only update, which is slightly ridiculous because at the moment I don't actually have any channel members. So maybe this is more of a future members only update. Or maybe it's just me sitting here in the studio talking to the people who care enough to follow along with this strange, wonderful, slightly chaotic little adventure I've been on. And I probably should say we, because this thing isn't just me anymore. There's a small team behind Adventures with Duncan now. There's Nomad, my Air 3S drone, helping me keep the road wide open, the ideas moving, and the next story somewhere beyond the horizon. Then there's Ghost, my Neo 2 drone, quietly working in the background, shaping the unseen parts, the things most people never notice but absolutely feel when they're missing. And then there's the Berlin Bear, my BMW R1200 GS, which either sounds like a Cold War spy, a dive bar regular, or a mascot with a questionable past. Maybe all three. Together they help me think through the stories, the edits, the ideas, the details, and occasionally rescue me from myself when I start making things more complicated than they need to be. So this update is really all about what we're building. Because there's a lot going on behind the scenes right now. Some collaborations, some travel stories, some website work, some new ideas, and honestly, a little bit of me trying to figure out what this whole thing is becoming. When I started Adventures with Duncan, it was mostly about travel. Go somewhere interesting, film it, and tell the story. But over time, I've realized it's not just about the destination. It's about the texture of a place, people, the history, the odd details, the forgotten buildings, the meal that you weren't expecting, and the road that you almost didn't take. And the quiet moments that ends up staying with you longer than the big scenic shot. And lately, that's where this channel has been heading. More storytelling, more atmosphere, more attention to pacing, voice, and the emotional thread of a place. And that brings me to one of the bigger things that's happening right now. I've been working on a collaboration with the Post and Courier news group called On the Road. The idea is pretty simple. Take these South Carolina places, some well-known, some overlooked, and some hiding in plain sight, and tell their stories in a way that feels both cinematic and personal. Not just, here's a place you should visit. More like, here's a place that has something to say if you slow down long enough to listen. The approach has been twofold. First, there's the long-form YouTube version. That's where I can really stretch out, build the story, set the mood, explore the history, let the place breathe a little. Then there's a short-form version for Instagram and other platforms like TikTok. And that's a totally different animal. You have to get in quickly, make the viewer feel something almost immediately, and still leave them with enough substance that it doesn't feel like just another disposable clip sliding past their thumb. That's been a really interesting challenge. So far, we've looked at places like McClellanville, that beautiful, quiet fishing village with so much character and history. It's one of those places that doesn't shout at you. It whispers. And if you're paying attention, it gives you a lot. We've looked at the coal tipple, which is a completely different kind of animal, industrial, weathered, a little haunting, the kind of structure most people drive past without real thinking. But once you start asking questions, it opens up a whole chapter of working history. Then there was Edisto, and Edisto surprised me. That short-form piece really connected. On Instagram, it got close to 200,000 views, thousands of likes, and lots of engagement. But what meant the most to me wasn't just the numbers. It was the nature of the comments. People were responding to the storytelling, the pacing, the voice, and the way the place felt. That matters to me. Because I'm not trying to just make travel content where I stand in front of something old and say, look at this old thing. I'm trying to make people feel the weight of a place, the beauty of it, the ghost, the contradictions, the humor, the humanity. And when people comment on the storytelling, that tells at least I'm moving in the right direction. We also have Old Sheldon Church in the mix. That place is almost impossible not to feel something about. The ruins, the trees, the silence, the history. It's all right there. You don't have to manufacture drama at Old Sheldon. You just have to get out there and get out of the way and let the place speak for itself. That's been one of the lessons from this whole collaboration. Sometimes the best thing a storyteller can do is to stop trying to impress people and simply pay attention. Another thing I've been working on is the updated Adventures with Duncan website through Squarespace. And I'll be honest, for a long time the website was sort of there because a website is supposed to be there. But I'm trying to make it more useful now, more alive. The new version has a blog. That gives me a place to write in a different way than I speak on camera. Some stories need video, some need still photographs, and some need words on a page and a little more room to breathe. That site also gives me a home for the Post and Courier collaboration so people can find those stories in one place instead of having to chase them across multiple platforms like digital raccoons in the night. There's also a section called Compass Conversations, and I should explain what that is. A while back, I gave my daughter a very special gift, a compass rose necklace with rubies for her 40th birthday. It was meant to symbolize direction, milestones, and the idea that life doesn't always give us a straight road, but it does give us ways to navigate, and that idea stayed with me. The compass became more than a piece of jewelry. It became a symbol for the kinds of stories I'm interested in. Stories about where we've been, where we're going, what we carry, and how we find our way. Compass Conversations is my attempt to build on that idea. It's a place for more personal reflections, interviews, essays, and maybe even conversations with people whose lives, travels, work, or creative journeys have something meaningful to teach us. And part of that ties into a book my friend Bloss wrote called The Journey's Map. I interviewed him and dug deeper into some of the motivations for writing the book and some of the main themes. My role is not to be the hero of that story. It's to help preserve it, shape it, and give it a voice. To help bring someone else's experience forward in a way that feels honest and human. It's a different kind of storytelling than a travel video, but it comes from the same place. Curiosity, respect, and the belief that everyone has a story, but not every story has had the chance to be properly told. There's also a merchandise section of the website now. I don't want to feel like some loud, over-caffeinated merchandise push. That's not really me. But I do like the idea of creating a few things that connect with the spirit of the channel. Travel, roads, history, motorcycles, curiosity, getting out there, and maybe a little bit of go before you talk yourself out of it. So that's developing too. On the travel documentary side, there's a couple of recent projects that I'm really excited about. One is about the little town of Georgetown, South Carolina. That one has really been on my mind. Georgetown is one of those places that starts as a name on a map, maybe a few notes on a page, maybe a loose plan. And then once you actually get there, it becomes something else entirely. There's the waterfront, the history of rice, the legacy of wealth and slavery, the old buildings, the rice museum, the shadow of the steel mill, Goat Island, Hampton Plantation, the sailboats, kids learning to sail. And somehow all of that starts to form a bigger idea that we're all at some point like those kids in the little boats, trying to catch the wind, trying not to drift too far, trying to learn the current beneath us, trying different waters, different boats, different versions of ourselves. That's the Georgetown story I'm trying to tell. There'll be a longer one where I can really build that out. And there will also be shorter pieces that capture specific moments and ideas from that trip. And then there's Beaufort. That's one in the planning and research phase, and it's coming soon. Beaufort has its own rhythm. It's beautiful, of course, but there's more to it than postcard charm. Like so many southern towns, it has layers: beauty and history, grace and comfort, architecture and memory, front porches and hard truths. And that's exactly the kind of place I'm drawn to, not because it's simple, because it isn't. The best stories rarely are. So that's where things stand right now. Post and Courier collaboration is moving along. The website is being rebuilt into something more useful and more connected to the work. The blog is coming into focus. Compass Conversations is beginning to take shape. The merchandise section is there and slowly developing. Georgetown is in progress, and Beaufort is coming soon. And somewhere in the middle of all that, Nomad, Ghost, and the Berlin Bear and I are still trying to make this thing better, story by story, road by road, mistake by mistake, because that's really what this channel is becoming. Not just a travel channel, not a motorcycle channel, not a history channel. It's a place for stories about movement, memory, curiosity, and the strange little moments that remind us that we're still alive and we're still learning. And that's really the whole point of Adventures with Duncan: to get out there, to pay attention, to tell the story as honestly as I can from my own perspective, and maybe to encourage you to do the same in your own way. So if you've been following all along, thank you. Seriously. Whether you're a subscriber, a casual viewer, a future member of this currently imaginary members-only club, or just someone who's wandered in because the algorithm had one too many cups of coffee, I'm glad you're here. I'd love to hear from you. What kind of stories are connecting with you the most? The travel documentaries, the shorter historical pieces, the personal reflections, the motorcycle stories, the behind-the-scenes updates like this? Let me know in the comments, because I'm building this as I go. And the best part of that is hearing from the people who actually are along from the ride. Thanks for watching. I'm Duncan, and this is Adventures with Duncan, and I'll see you down the road.